tell you just a little bit about Rosemary. She is a native of West Virginia and the daughter of a lady who was the junior director of West Virginia when I was the junior director of Florida. Small world. Rosemary has 3 college degrees, a bachelor's from Clemson.
Oh, well, I guess I don't.
I was going to say, are you not in here cheering for where the boys going? Okay, she's probably finished. Okay, a master's from the University of South Carolina, and a doctorate from the West Virginia University. As the Chief Operating Officer for GFWC, she is responsible for the organization's consistent achievement of the mission, the advocacy, and the financial obligations. She works directly with GFWC Executive Committee, Board, and staff. She has been an instructor of leadership, organizational theory, public speaking, and history at 4 colleges in the Southeast. Her extensive experience in volunteer development, membership services, marketing, communications, fundraising, stewardship, and events management just make her an outstanding leader. She is into building and training has done building and training for numerous nonprofit organizations, educational institutions, and professional associations. I'm impressed. But let me tell you what impressed me most about Rosemary. When I first got the chance to meet her, we were on the Cherry Blossom Tour, Carol Stewart, from Florida, and we had just arrived after traveling most of the day in the coach at GFWC. That was our first stop, first place we got out. And our coach driver started honking the horn as we were pulling in. And there on the sidewalk stood Rosemary, waving and smiling and jumping up and down. And then she got on the bus, and I said, sorry, I owe somebody a quarter. And oh my goodness, you could feel the electricity in the air. What a way to be greeted. Could not feel more welcome. She ushered us into our beautiful headquarters, and very shortly afterwards we got to meet our fantastic, enthusiastic GFWC president, Babs Condon. I sat down and I had been told how to say this, and it was like, Madam President Babs. And I said that to her when I talked to her. She goes, it's Babs. She said, okay, Babs. I'm like, okay. So I call her Babs. What a dynamic duo. I will never forget it. Please help me to welcome Rosemary to Florida.
Good afternoon, ladies. Well, I got my standing ovation. I had a great lunch, so thanks so much. I'll see you all tonight. I would like to see my name in lights. If anyone has their flashlight on their phone, if they could shine it on my name, that would be great. I love the fact that the person holding my name up at the airport, Elena, did not have cuffs and a badge. That was fabulous. Whew, it was a relief, let me tell you. So let's get serious for just a little bit. This lighthouse is like right here.
You can move it.
Okay, thanks. I'll move it all the way down. I like it to shine like on me. Don't anybody hit the shore on your way in, because it'll be my fault. So let's get serious for a little while. Can we do that? Yes, we can. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. This is a quote from Helen Keller. Ladies of GFWC Florida, thank you. Thank you for changing lives through volunteer service. Thank you for living the volunteer spirit, and it is quite obvious that you're not just doing it here, you're making it happen, and it is truly a way of life, and you're to be commended for that. When President Carroll and I started talking about the possibility of me coming to be part of this convention, I have to tell you, it was very, very exciting. I get to see old GFWC friends, or let's say long time. Nobody's old in Florida, my goodness, what was I thinking? Did you say dinner was at 4:30 tonight? Just saying. The early bird, that's great. It's always fabulous to get to travel with Babs, especially since we can wear and share clothing, because as much as she was shopping at the vendors, I'm like, score! I just walked behind her and I'm like, did she buy this? Tell her she should. Because I really want to wear it next week. But it really is a delight. And you heard about my little bit of Federation history with Diane, right? And she still talks to me anyway. And for any of you who know my mother, Mary Jo Thomas, you're probably looking at me and you're thinking, oh my gosh, she doesn't look old enough to be her mother. That's because, wait for it, I was so easy to raise.
An only child.
An only child. No one ever asks her why. Anyway, I do want to thank Babs and my hostess, Elena. We've actually had the pleasure of being with Elena 3 times. She was there representing Florida at the Shot at Life Champions training in D.C. She came back on the bus. I thought she forgot something while she was there. And then here she was to greet us. So, Elena, thank you so much. In keeping with the membership theme of this administration and this weekend, I want to talk a little bit about catch the wave of membership. And I want to talk about how it is that you're making a difference just because you care. I would predict that everyone here this weekend came because you wanted to learn more about GFWC, more about Florida's Federation, more about the accomplishments and the amazing opportunities of your fellow club women and all of that, right? Well, just so you know, I came because I have the best job in the world, and it is one of the easiest jobs because I have 90,000 women as my boss. Not so much, actually, it's fabulous. But in all,
I was your boss.
you are, along with all of them that you say, I'm here representing you. Anyway, I work with an amazing team, and we have one goal, and that is to serve you all. I actually had a conversation with the finance and events director on our way home. He happens to be from West Virginia as well. We were driving home together for Easter, and he said to me, you know, Rosemary, he said, we have a lot of stress in our job, but it's great stress. And I said, okay. I said, explain what you mean, Derek. And he said, because our stress level is dictated by whoever calls in and has an issue or a question or an idea. And the stress for us is we want to make sure we make them feel good and appreciated and wanted when we hang up that phone. We want you to feel listened to. GFWC exists because of and for you. I've also been around this organization long enough to know that you didn't come here to find out what GFWC could do for you, right?
Right.
Well, now, before I move on, I know you might have left some people back home in the communities and in the clubs that maybe do the arm cross every now and then and just say, well, now, what are my dues going to pay for? Okay, the right answer is not for me to stay at convention in a nicer room, okay? So don't go there. What difference does it make, right? That's what they want. What difference does it make? Why do we need to be part of Federation? Well, I'll tell you what. And President Pax and I were just talking about this. Think about how many companies you know of. Think about how many companies you support. How many places you go that are celebrating 125 years of existence, right? And how about having a business partner for 125 years. How about that? Unheard of, right? That's you all. But in all sincerity, if you've ever visited a library that was constructed around World War II, thank GFWC, right? If you ever visited one of our great national parks, guess who was at the table to make that happen? GFWC. If you ever cringe when you hear about living conditions, food conditions, water conditions in other countries, and you think about the fact that we have safe water, safe food, laws that protect that. Any idea who started that talk? GFWC. Ever wonder how it was that those seat belts ended up in those great big cars that everybody drove around and slid across the back seat? GFWC. Ladies, this is a 10,000-foot view. What you have done in your own communities is beyond measure. You're making a difference and you are leaving your mark once on this state, on this nation, and on the world. When I found the quote about hope from Helen Keller, it was such a powerful reminder of why I love this organization. I am a fourth-generation clubwoman. Giving back was not a thought process that I had to go through. It's a way of life in my house. Always has been and always will be. The quote again, optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Now we know that not everyone has the same level of optimism. There are actually even some pessimistic people out there. They're probably not a member of our organization. And that's a shame, because we could change them, right? My grandmother and her sister are the prime example and the epitome of two people raised in the same house by the same parents, given the same opportunities, going to the same schools, having the exact same environment, and being completely different when it came to their outlook on life. My grandmother would wake up and she would pull back the curtains and hear the birds singing and see the sun in the sky and say, it's going to be a glorious day. And my Aunt Helen would wake up and she'd open the curtains and she'd hear the birds singing and see the sun out and say, it's going to be hot as hell out there today. True story. Now my grandmother, she wasn't just an optimist. She was what I would refer to as an uber optimist. And I say that in part because of another connection to GFWC. Any Relay for Life people in here? Yeah, it's real easy to find purple in your wardrobe, isn't it? Yeah, works well. I said, Babs, I don't have anything that doesn't say Relay on it, so. But my grandmother's one of my reasons to relay. And I tell you this story in part, and I'll get to that, but when she died, she had a 12-year battle with cancer. She went through 5 heads of hair. She went through 7 clinical trials. She went through all kinds of studies and all these things. And the woman was such an optimist that the people who knew her well, when they came to pay their respects, they said, oh, had she been sick? Now that's an optimist for you, right? It's an optimist. And I use this as an example because we're part of the reason that I had those 12 years with her. How many of you know that the precursor to the volunteer network of our American Cancer Society started at GFWC? Did you know that? True story, yes. The American Cancer Society was starting to take shape, and you know they're a little bit younger than us. They celebrated 100 years last year. And they knew that they needed field representatives to go out and to promote the fact that this dreaded disease called cancer that they were learning more and more about, that we all needed to get together and fight this, and that they couldn't do it with just the doctors, and they couldn't do it with just the researchers. They had to have what we would consider the people who would roll their sleeves up and go out there, knock on doors. I raised money. I took my little can around with my grandma. What was it? Nothing is mightier than the sword. That was the old saying with the American Cancer Society. But they went to, in 1936, Marjorie Illig, a field representative with the American Cancer Society and the chair of the General Federation of Women's Clubs Committee on Public Health made an extraordinary suggestion. She proposed creating a legion of volunteers whose sole purpose was to wage war against cancer. The Women's Field Army, as this organization came to be called, was an enormous success. In 1935, remember they reached out to us in 36. In 1935, they had 15,000 volunteers, okay? In 1938, they had over 150,000 volunteers because of GFWC. So thank you from me and from my family. Probably sounds familiar, right? You need something done? Touch base with the club woman and guess what? It'll get done, okay? We just see things differently, don't we? We aren't spectators in life. Cheerleaders, but not spectators. We're engaged, we're involved, we're dedicated to doing something that matters. Think about the last time you passed a rundown building. May have been a safety hazard, may have just been an eyesore. Think about that, okay? Now, think about the last time you read a newspaper article or saw something on the television about a family that was displaced from their home because of some sort of disaster, perhaps a fire or a flood, something along those lines. Think about the last time you heard about an emergency response vehicle or an emergency room that was missing a piece of life-saving equipment that they desperately needed. Think about those things. Because here's what I would predict. I would predict you rode the wave of membership right into a wave of change. Right into making a positive change. And that's because of you. You bring hope to the table, you make a difference, and you change lives. You don't ignore what's happening around you. You can't, can you? You don't just sit back and think, boy, I really hope someone else does something about that problem. You and your GFWC sisters, your girlfriends who care, who are 100% certified awesome. Have I ticked off all the t-shirts yet? These are available on Marketplace. Thank you very much for shopping with GFWC. But we get together and we fix things, right? We have to admit that as club women, we don't see the rundown building. We start a conversation about what that building could become or how it needs to come down to make room for something else. We don't just sigh sympathetically because of what happened to the family and what they lost. We found out what size clothes they wear, what size shoes they wear, where they go to school, and we start establishing drop-off places in our communities, right? We don't just wonder about how much that piece of life-saving equipment is. We call and find out how much it costs, and then we start perusing the internet and the newspapers and all of that, and we find an agency that might match us with a grant. If we can raise X, they'll give us Y. No more problems. That's how we look at problems when we see them, or challenges as we see them. Now again, I know I'm not talking with anyone in this room, but I do know that there are people who will say or question the fact that any gracious act that we try to do, they will be skeptics, right? They may say, well, there are just too many rundown buildings. We can't make a difference by doing something. There are just too many families to help. There are tragedies all over the place. We can't make a difference. There are too many budgets being cut. There's really nothing we can do to backfill the EMT world for them. But think about the difference you can make. Think about the starfish story. And I know you know the story. But if you'll indulge me, let's put the lighthouse back. It gives me that sense of being at the beach. Let's do the starfish story, GFWC Florida style, and think about that. So you're walking along the beach. Let's go with this. A Florida club woman is walking along the beach. And she realizes that the sun's coming up and the tide's going out, and we know that that's not a good combination, right? So she's walking along the beach and she sees the starfish really just laying everywhere along the beach, creating a dotted line for her path that she'll follow. She picks one up, she throws it back into the water. She moves on to the next one and does the same thing. And continues, starfish after starfish. And they're everywhere. A little bit down the beach, she passes someone, a jogger that's coming the other direction, right? Probably a member of a different club. Or a guy. What are you doing? Well, I'm taking care of these starfish because the sun is coming up and the tide is going out, and I need to get them back into the water so that they don't die. And he says, lady, you're not going to make a difference. He said, I've been jogging for 3 miles and there's hundreds and thousands of starfish along the beach. To which she leans over and picks up the next starfish and tosses it back in the water and says, I just made a difference for that one. Right? That's what you're doing. And ladies, think about it for a minute. When you hear the membership challenges and when you hear the opportunities to bring people into the organization, remember that starfish story and think about how many more starfish we could get back into the ocean if we had more members, if we were working together, if we were working in sync. Because we'd all know the tidal chart and what was going on there. We'd all pay attention to it, and we could be strategic and even more successful than we already are. Now, oftentimes when we think about these membership pieces, we often think that when we look in the mirror and we see ourselves, that we need to go look for other members who are just like that. Not so much, right? I'm going to ask President Babs to help me out because we've done this in a couple places in a couple different ways, but you all have name tags on, right? Everybody's got a name tag on. Okay, there's about 25 other name tags out there. Could y'all put those on for me? My 25 plants? Sucker. Just kidding. Okay, so basically what I would like to do is I would like to ask those folks in the audience who have a little different name tag to stand up, and we can maybe pass the microphones around or something. Can we do that? If we can? So here's what I want you to think about. Think about this, ladies. There's a lot of traits, there's a lot of characteristics, and there's a lot of things we learn from a name tag, right? So what we learn from a name tag, think about it. You see the person's name and you know their family name and you think, oh, they're from a great family. Or you see their club name and you think, oh, that's a great club. That's a really active club. And I know this will come as a shock to everyone, but sometimes when you look at those name tags and see those things, you come to negative conclusions. Not anybody in here, right? Okay, good. So here's what we're going to do. Thank you, Madam President and hostess Elena. They're going to come around, and I would like each of you to introduce yourselves. And while they're doing this, ladies, I want you to think about the names of these people in this room. Okay? Go ahead. Just introduce yourself.
Hi there, my name is Enthusiastic, and how are y'all today?
Awesome. You go back and forth.
This could be interpreted in many ways, but I'm passionate.
Hi, I'm empowering.
Empowering.
Hi, I'm inspiring. Nice to meet all y'all. I'm genuine.
Well, I just have to say, y'all, I'm so thankful. Hey guys, I'm patient. Hi, I am realistic. Hello everyone.
I'm energized. My name is Carrie. What can I do to help you?
My name is Confidence, and if it needs to be done, I know we can do it.
My name is Self-Aware, and I'm not really sure what that Actually, she's in my group. Well, I am the mediator.
My name is dedication. I am very dedicated.
Hi, I'm here for you. I'm supportive.
Hi, I'm creative. What can we help you with today?
Hi, I'm respectful.
Hello, I'm happy.
Hello, I'm experienced. Can I help you?
Hello, I'm visionary. Let me show you the way.
And I am focused, and I have tunnel vision.
Mary Lazaro from District 4. I'm competent and I'm Domestic Violence Awareness District 4 Chairman.
Nothing like grabbing the microphone for a commercial announcement. Shameless is her name. Shameless, I tell you.
Good afternoon, I am driven.
Hi, I'm honest.
Good afternoon. I am gracious. All right. Is that everybody? Oh, we got one more?
GFWC. I'm a cheerleader.
Hello, everyone. I want to hear hello. Madam President, there you have us. We are good listeners.
Yay! All right. Thank you, ladies. So while Madam President's coming back up here, because I want her to tell you a little bit about how this can work, tell us what you didn't hear that you need to look for in members. Just shout it out.
Compassion.
You're looking for negativity? Tell us what you're looking for.
Compassion.
Compassion, good.
Integrity.
Hang on one second. Motivation, good. Integrity, great.
I used to be problem, but now opportunity.
Opportunity, we love it. Opportunity, yes ma'am. You want to pay your dues? Awesome. We got you covered, and I'll tell you what, that our shameless over there, she'll take your money for domestic violence too. We're gonna have more scholarships before we get out of this room. I did find it interesting they locked the doors from the outside at this hotel. I'm not sure why. What else?
Personally invited.
Inviting. Friendly. Involved. Dependable. Leadership. Innovative. What? Giving. You get with her to pay your dues, and then y'all get with her to do domestic violence fundraising, and then we're all going to the dogs. Right? Okay. All right. I'm going to turn this over to President Babs because, as I said, this is something that you all can do in lots of different ways and places. Go ahead.
Just a little side note, this is what I get to work with every day. Do I not have the best job in the world? Zig Ziglar said you can have anything in life you want if you just help enough other people to get what they want. So think about that. Here we are working together on membership and leadership, and we can each help each other out. We can mentor each other, we can support each other, we can encourage each other, we can help them if they have I just had a question out in the hallway. How can I be a better leader? There's all kinds of ways you can be a better leader, but you have to work at it, you have to practice, and you have to get people to help you and mentor you. And if you really want it bad enough, you will succeed. Having workshops like this, I must say, the first time we did this workshop, there were 50 people in the room. A little different here. Everybody got up and was getting a name tag. We had them all laid out on a table. They picked up a name tag that they thought sounded like a good thing. And then we talked about all the different name tags. Of course, we had 50 different ones. And today we just went through about 25 of them. But these are ways you can take this workshop home to your clubs, to your districts, and do them on a smaller scale if you want to. You just come up with some real positive leadership, membership traits, and you put them on a name tag and then give one to everybody to wear. And then you ask them, what we did was we took them and we said, I want you to look around the room at all the different names, all the different characteristics. And I want you to get together in a group that you think would make one good leader. And so some people were like, no, I want her in my group. No. Okay. They had to make their own group out of the different characteristics. Somebody that was confident, somebody that was outspoken, somebody that was friendly, somebody that was resourceful. And just, you put them all together and you make one good leader, one good membership chairman. And so there are many different ways you can take this workshop and adapt it to any size you have, okay? And it's instead of doing everybody working on it, we just chose to do it this way with taking a small portion of the group today. So I want you to think about that and take it back to your groups and see how you can do this kind of workshop. And of course, if you want to get Rosemary to come and talk to you, I'm sure she'd fly anywhere.
See, she really doesn't want me there every day. I don't blame her. I'm a little bit. My cousin always says, "Oh, she's so funny, but not 24/7." It's true. Okay. There's a song that I listen to a lot. And every time I hear it, I think about GFWC. Actually, there's a lot of songs that make me think about GFWC. But it's a song by Matthew West, and it's called Do Something. I don't know how many of you know that song. Fabulous song, fabulous message. The question is, if not us, then who? If not me and you, right now, it's time for us to do something. If not now, then when? Will we see an end to all this pain? It's not enough to do nothing. It's time for us to do something. We help shape the future because we choose to see what is possible. We seek out ways to make a difference, and we strive to improve the world around us. We know we have to do something, and we have been doing it for 120 or 125 years, depending on which birthday we're going to celebrate. And I dare say, ladies, we are just getting started. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens, insert word women, can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Ladies, you possess the knowledge and the dedication to bring hope to all the corners of this great state federation. GFWC Florida is truly changing the world. One project at a time, one season at a time, one life at a time. And as I said, you've been doing it for 120 years, and that's a very strong brand. Now, speaking of change, if you've been paying attention, and how couldn't you? You have probably seen some changes taking place in this organization. There's a little more spring in our step. There's a lot more positive energy than perhaps ever before, and there is communication of all kinds. It has been said that this is not your grandmother's GFWC anymore. Well, I beg to differ with that, because I think it's exactly my grandmother's GFWC, what it would look like were they members today. Because it doesn't really matter if the information is being exchanged with a piece of paper, through a phone call, on the television, via social media. We are still doing what we've been doing for 125 years, living the volunteer spirit, improving communities. We're just doing it bigger, better, louder, and prouder than ever before. I can't even imagine how proud they would be, and I know they watch. I know they guide my steps. I couldn't make it up those 5 flights of steps every day if they weren't picking me up, I'll tell you. How proud they would be that we still focus on literacy, that we still focus on health and welfare of children, that we're still dedicated to improving safety, protecting the environment, and making our mark and making our voice heard on public issues and public policies that truly matter. I will also say, having lost both my grandmothers to cancer, I'm sure they wish that fight were over, but we're not there yet. And I don't know about you, but I'm not giving up. Okay? We're still in that fight. I am by nature a traditionalist. May surprise some of you. But I am, Babs can attest to that. And I have great respect for what this federation stands for and what we've done for our nation and for our world. You know, there comes a time in federation and we all say, you know, we'll go out to recruit members and we'll say, GFWC needs you. GFWC needs you. How many of you have found yourself in the position where you needed GFWC? There's no substitute. There's no substitute. However, I believe that when there is a need for change, it's not enough for it to be evolutionary. It needs to be revolutionary. GFWC was, is, and always will be a transformational force in the work to improve communities. That's a tradition that we can all be very proud of. We take chances when it comes to making changes. We dream big. It's the only way to get big results. Our impact on public policy has been formative. It is important that we maintain our grassroots strength. That's you. So that we can advance our resolutions on the national stage. Our partners consider themselves blessed and fortunate to be in sync with a phenomenal group of dedicated volunteers called GFWC. They know we follow the adage as club women. We risk more than others think is safe. We care more than others think is wise. We dream more than others think is practical. We expect more than others think is possible. And great things happen. Here's to 125 years and 120 for Florida. I am thrilled to be able to spend this weekend with you and catch the wave myself. Thank you for bringing so much hope to this federation, and thank you for being who you are. Thank you.